Hello and welcome back to another episode of Generation Films. My name is American Ben. Tis the season of Baby Yoda, the cute cuddly little green Sasquatch that you can't decide whether to hug or eat. Yes, Baby Yoda is awesome. He's so awesome that he forces us to reconsider our values. Do we hate aliens or do we love Baby Yoda? And we wonder, is there some little known rule hidden deep within the pages of the Humanity First codebook that allows us to make an exception? Should Baby Yoda be an honorary human? Let me know what you think down below. Anyway, Baby Yoda has captivated the world over. Okay, not the world actually. I suppose at this moment we need to have a moment of silence for all those who don't have the same opportunities and resources that we do in developed countries like the United States. But yes, in less advanced countries with more primitive societies where they drive small cars to save gas and where they wear Speedos, as in throughout Europe, they have no water. Wait, no. I mean, they have no Disney Plus yet because it doesn't come out there until next year. So my friends in the UK and France and Germany and elsewhere in the prehistoric European world, I won't forget you as corporate resistance behemoths juggle your fates in their hands. I will stand with you. Well, actually, I'm going to continue to watch The Mandalorian week after week because it's awesome. But I will be with you in spirit. Okay, actually, my spirit is kind of busy too, but I do have a friend named George, and he plans to be with you through all of this. No, I really do feel bad for you all, and I just want to point that out because some of our European viewers have been commenting on our Mandalorian videos saying how they're not able to watch the show. And so I just want to shout you out. I know this channel has a lot of Mandalorian content right now, so I'm sorry that it's not content that is particularly catered to you right now. We do have some varied content coming up, and I do hope you get your hands on Disney Plus soon. Now on to Baby Yoda, the only baby that could ever make us leave Baby Groot in a dumpster. There has been a lot of speculation already about Baby Yoda's future, but most of it has concerned his rise as a hero. I think most people think that Baby Yoda will be protected by the Mandalorian and grow to become a leader of the Republic. It'll be wise like Yoda, powerful like Yoda, unwilling to compromise the ways of the Jedi. This is what I think that most people are expecting to happen and what most people hope happens. And yet no one has even stopped to wonder, could this child instead rise to become a hero of the Sith, an arbiter of dark power? Well, we certainly have to consider this possibility. Yes, who is Baby Yoda? What does the history of its lineage tell us? And of course, what should it be? Of course, Baby Yoda is of a race that as of today remains a mystery to the galaxy. We often just call its species Yoda species and know it to be a carnivorous humanoid species, the known members of which have played some very significant roles in leading and shaping the Jedi Order. So logic would dictate that Baby Yoda should also turn to the ways of the Jedi, right? Well, not necessarily. Now, members of Yoda's species have almost all been extraordinarily strong with the Force and wise beyond their years, which is saying something because most of them lived a hell of a long time. Yet I wonder if it's their better natures that drove them to be Jedi, or whether such is just a product of chance. And the very fact of being raised by the Jedi was what made, say, Yoda himself become so good. After all, Yoda did have a dark side. He was known to have visions of the dark side cave on Dagobah during the Clone Wars. And one wonders if this doesn't hint at some deep connection between Yoda and the dark side, a connection that he trained himself to resist. After all, Yoda did exile himself to Dagobah for decades, and yes, maybe this was because he thought it was a good hiding place, but it also might have been because he felt a natural symbiosis with the planet and the very cave itself. I mean, if I could pick a planet to exile myself to, it would probably have beaches or a big city. I can tell you one thing, it wouldn't be a nightmare forest planet full of evil caves and Blair witches and, worst of all, probably tons of mosquitoes. Pretty sure ultimately Yoda died of malaria, but I digress. When younglings were kidnapped, I mean taken by the Jedi, their very lives became the Jedi's, and they went through extremely strict and challenging training for the better part of their youth and early adulthood, and even beyond if necessary. Yes, much of that training consisted of learning how to fight in combat, but it also consisted of mental, emotional, and moral training. The Jedi Code was pounded into initiates' heads for years. They were taught to refrain from acting for personal power, to restrain themselves from lust and indulgence. They were taught to respect others and put others above themselves. They were taught to want nothing and to protect the weak from so-called evil. This code, reinforced in the minds of young beings every day for years, had a brainwashing effect on adherents. It could restrain the very worst of beasts. Though I imagine the repression also turned some Jedi into sadistic cannibals, but I digress. It's somewhat unknown what would happen if a member of Yoda's species was left to its own devices, or say, raised by a Mandalorian? Yes, Baby Yoda as of yet does not have Jedi Masters. It is free to shape its own destiny and be its own creature. Mandalorians, of course, have a history of brutality, and though yes, Mr. Mando himself seems to somewhat reject the savage ways of his ancestors, one would imagine such ways are in his blood and will in some subconscious way be transferred to his little green baby. Or he might just give it smallpox. Baby Yoda has, after all, witnessed much violence and killing as a child. It has experienced theft, kidnapping, torture, and murder already. I mean, the Mandalorian doesn't even think twice before picking off Jawas with his sniper rifle right in front of Baby Yoda. I mean, that's a baby, an impressionable baby, and he's just murking unsuspecting Jawas. I think it's very possible Baby Yoda grows up to take delight in just annihilating Jawas. And by the way, it already seems like Baby Yoda has a bit of a destructive side. It's somewhat rebellious against the Mandalorian himself, pushing all sorts of buttons in Mando's ship that could get them killed, and doesn't seem to have much of an issue with the killing that it witnesses. Though I know that members of Yoda's species are known to be very wise, so it could just be that Baby Yoda understands death already. But I don't know, it kind of acts like an evil little gremlin. Though I think Baby Yoda's personality and mind are still shapeable. We see Baby Yoda spit out a live frog when it sees that a group of children are disturbed by its eating habits. So it clearly has a conscience, but it's yet to be seen which way that conscience will be swayed. Though I don't really care about frogs anyway. I've never met a frog I liked, and the WB's terrifying humanoid talking frog from the 90s is a topic of frequent discussion between me and my shrink. Anyway, are y'all really gonna try and tell me that you don't even get the slightest bit of a malevolent vibe from Baby Yoda? Okay, at best it's a troublemaker vibe, which I guess could be innocent, but that's really the best way to view it. Additionally, it's not like no member of Yoda's species has ever exhibited any concerning personality traits or behaviors. Sure, of the few we know, most or all were courageous and wise. And yet there was Minch, a member of Yoda's species who served as a Jedi Knight 700 years before the Battle of Yavin. Minch was often looked down upon and underestimated by friends and enemies alike due to his small physical appearance. This filled him with all sorts of insecurities. According to legend, Minch was once sent on a mission with a group of Jedi Knights to stop several Dark Jedi who were on a murderous rampage through the Bitfashi system. At one point, Minch cornered one of the Dark Jedi on a space station and engaged in a lightsaber battle, which he lost, and he had to be saved by his comrades. Feeling all the more insecure and wanting to prove himself more than ever, he ignored the orders of his master to die and pursued the Dark Jedi's master to a cave on the planet Dagobah, where the Dark Jedi attempted to convert Minch to the dark side. Minch resisted the pull of the dark side and slayed the Dark Jedi. The cave was left tainted by dark side energy, and while most of that probably had to do with the Dark Jedi's death, perhaps Minch's fear and anger played a part in it as well. Minch might have been brave and might have resisted the dark side, but there's no doubt that Minch was more emotionally weak than other Jedi, something that the Dark Jedi surely sensed in him, which is why he tried to pull him over to the dark side, and even remarked before dying that Minch would inevitably fall to the dark side of the Force. No one really knows what became of Minch, but it does go to show that not every member of Yoda's species was so good-natured, restrained, and calm. Much of the discipline we see from Yoda probably comes from his Jedi training, and yet Yoda himself had a strange connection with the dark side cave on Dagobah. Furthermore, do we even really know why the client in the first episode of The Mandalorian wanted Baby Yoda? We don't actually know what his intentions were. We don't know why they were running tests on the child. Perhaps they were just giving it a physical and restraining it so it didn't kill them all in the process.
What did you do to it? What did you do to it?
I protected him. I protected him. If it wasn't for me, he would already be dead, please.
Yes, I know we're conditioned to see stormtroopers and think evil, but this is post-galactic empire, and we don't really know who the stormtroopers were working for. It's possible the client or the person who hired him knew how dangerous Baby Yoda is, and were trying to stop it from rising to become the next great evil in the galaxy. It's entirely possible that Baby Yoda is hiding its true nature from the well-intentioned Mandalorian. After all, it does seem to know a lot more about what's going on than it's given credit for. Just in the nick of time, it uses the Force to stop the Mudhorn from killing the Mandalorian. When it's left alone in a bar, it somehow finds Mando and Cara Dune on its own and appears calmly drinking a bowl of soup. I'm not saying that this proves some sort of malevolence. I want to be reasonable here, but it does show that Baby Yoda is aware, and we shouldn't forget that. There's also the question of what should happen moving forward. Do we really need another wise member of Yoda's species rising to become a great hero of the Republic? There's already been a Yoda, and there's already been so many great and wise heroes throughout galactic history. Yeah, I guess it'd be fine if Baby Yoda went on to become the next, well, Yoda and lead the galaxy into the future. But I only ask, wouldn't it be way more interesting if, yes, for now we enjoy the cuteness of Baby Yoda, but then it slowly turns into a Sith a la the arc of Anakin? I mean, Star Wars is missing a super powerful and mysterious villain like that right now. Wouldn't it be way better to have Baby Yoda with its potential for godlike mastery over the Force rise to be the next great enemy of the Republic? Wouldn't it be kind of cool to go from adoring Baby Yoda to suddenly fearing and revering the adult that emerges from this child that we once thought cute and cuddly? Perhaps the Mandalorian is a tragic figure who will fight to save Baby Yoda from the dark forces that want it for their own evil schemes, but will ultimately fail and Baby Yoda will turn to its darker natures and lead a rebirth of the Sith or some other new dark force. Maybe Baby Yoda will come to see nuance in the arguments of each side of the Force. Perhaps it will see that the Republic isn't so clean and just after all. Perhaps its shift to the dark will help us to ask ourselves difficult questions about our own ingrained beliefs about the Jedi. Such would be a challenging reality for us to face, but perhaps it would be necessary for the good of the Republic, for the good of the galaxy, and for the good of Star Wars. Anyway, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Just food for thought and debate, which you can do down below in the comments. Remember to give the video a like if you did enjoy it. As always, remember to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. For now, my name is American Ben, and I'll catch you next time. Generation Films, peace.